In this video, we will see the process for defining a period list or calendar. We will look at the business trigger for the process, the data involved in this process. We will look at the process itself in the idea screens, its output. We will talk about processes that depend on this and exceptions to the process. In terms of the business triggers, we will usually need to set up a calendar either when we're doing the ideas implementation, so we're just setting up the system for the first time. And also we might need to set up calendars when we need to add a prior year calendar. So for example, we're doing a year-end roll and we have 3 years of history, but only 2 calendars set up, the current year calendar and the prior year calendar. We might need to create a prior year 2 calendar so that we can assign that calendar to that 3rd year of history that we have in the system. So this may occur sometimes when we are doing the year-end roll. So to summarize, we either need to do this when we are first configuring the system for use, and also when we're doing a year-end roll. As for the data involved, all we need at this point is the ledger ID. The process is as follows. We first need to go to the GL module. We then need to go to the period list definition screen. We will provide the ledger ID, enter the calendar name, then enter the periods and period end dates. After that, we can go ahead and save. So let's look at the process in the idea screens. We go to the general ledger module, we go to period list definitions, and once we are here, say we're doing the prior year calendar, so we would do, say, calendar PY1. So actually, since this is the first calendar we're creating in this case, in this database which is just being configured, we need to first have this calendar configured and then we can do other calendars. So the first one, the default one, is this CLNDR calendar, which is the one we'll use for the current year. So first thing we'll do is click here for adding a new period. It's going to ask me about, do we want a beginning balance, and we're going to say yes, and we're going to do the ending date for this. So let's say it's for 2019, so first day of 2019 for the beginning balance. It's not an adjusting period, only period 13 in this example will be adjusting. Then we'll do the next period, so this is going to be January. It's not an adjusting period. We provide the end date, click an update, and continue with the next one. And continue doing this until we have 12. So let's do this third one, and so on. So let's continue. So we have continued doing the process, and now we're already in period 11. So the same process for every period. And then we can continue here, December. Oh, that was misspelled, December. If you tab out, as you have seen, this name here is the first 3 characters after you enter description. And then we can add a last period in this case. This is a monthly calendar. The last period is the adjusting period. It's going to be adjusting, and it's going to be the same end date as period 12. Some customers might do a weekly calendar, so instead of having 13 periods, it might have 53. After we save, the calendar has been defined, and we are ready to continue, or we're done basically with the process. So once we save, we have the calendar defined. That's the output. And now these other processes can be run when needed. So we can go ahead and assign the calendar to the segments. In this case, since this is the current year calendar, we would assign this calendar to the current year segments, be them financial segments, statistical segments, or budget segments. We can also generate the accumulation files for the periods defined. So we can go ahead and select our ledger and then run a process that will create the accumulation files for the 13 periods that we have set in that calendar. And also the period end dates that we provided when we run a trial balance for a segment for which this calendar has been associated, then that period end date will appear depending on the header of the report, depending on the period we're running the report for. There are no exceptions to this. Usually this calendar needs to be set up, at least for when we are first setting up the system. So that's the process for defining a calendar. It's straightforward. You just have to be careful to do it as I showed. You can't really skip one period to another. The system will not allow you to do that, so you should just follow the order of the periods that you're setting up. The period end dates for a period that is subsequent to another cannot be earlier. So I can't use, say, for example, period end date for November and set, say, December, or let's say October 31st, and then the period end date for October due November 2nd. It has to be in chronological order. So that's basically it. Thanks for viewing this guide on defining period lists for calendars.